Go.
Welcome to our latest devlog for Bad Plan Studios.
I'm Dan McGuinness, and I do the art and designing crap.
And he's a Tickle King, and I'm Eli. I am the programmer.
And the Tickle King jester. Today we're going to talk about items and item pickups and power-ups and this kind of stuff, how he did it. First I'll talk about how I kind of made it in mine, and then you talk about how we're doing that in the new version. So mine, when I reference mine, it's the prototypes, and then Eli does the real programming in the demo we're doing at the moment. If you don't know what End of Ember is, it's our game that we'll be making. It's a top-down twin-stick roguelike shooter about a little girl who is accidentally sent to hell, and she basically has to fight her way out. That's the real scrapey bones version of it, but and yeah. All right, so basically I started off, I had to learn, how to make these things. I started researching just YouTube videos. I found a guy, a YouTuber called, I think it's BJO or something like that. I'll put it up on screen. And he straight away had a video of this easy way to make items, work out what scriptable items are. And I'm like, okay, this seems like a thing to learn. I didn't realize that learning scriptable items, that's the first thing you learn.
Scriptable objects.
Scriptable objects, scriptable objects isn't probably the best thing to first learn, but I did anyway. And so I decided to make all my items out of scriptable objects, because I wanted weapon synergy, that kind of thing where your items all stack and build onto each other. So if and that's what I kind of researched up. So I learned about scriptable objects, and they're I didn't quite understand what they are. I'm going to say what I use them for, because I wanted something that, I could make a scriptable object, and from that scriptable object, I could put a whole bunch of variables in it and change that really easily, and then churn out the same kind of object with different variables changed in it. If you know what I mean?
I can explain. Do it. It's hard to explain, but a scriptable object is something that holds data independent to the game. So a lot of stuff in classes or whatever will hold data, but if it changes throughout the game, it'll either reset at the start or it'll load from a save file. A scriptable object will hold that data as a instance of its own. So you could have with a deck of cards, and then you will have 52 scriptable objects for that deck, and then each one would have what's on the card, and it would hold that sort of stuff independent. It's great for making a massive amount of items of something.
Yeah, multiples of something without using much.
A deck of cards is probably
without much
hard
thinking.
To explain, but
it kind of uses the same script, but it has a different outcome for the whole thing. So you're not building 10 items. You're building 10 items with the 10 scripts. You're building 10 items that read off of kind of one thing. So I learned how to do that, and I started doing my coding, got that kind of running, worked out how to change variables and, get component and all that crap and all stuff like that. And then from there, I built the graphics, I drew them in, I pulled them in, and I kind of just went there. And I had a whole list of everything that I wanted to start with, different kind of items and power-ups that I've been writing in this little book on the train. I just started, and I just chipped away at that, and it seemed to work. I had to work out about pickup scripts. I didn't have any idea at the start. I had no idea. I didn't know do I have to actually have an item that actually physically gets put into an inventory? I didn't know anything like that. So I was I
still have no idea.
Yeah, you do. Huh. Well, I don't know. It's just a picker. For an item, you have what you want it to do, and then you have the picker. And so the picker is just a graphic and an effect.
The picker just holds information about what item you want to have.
Yeah, and then it just tells it what to do. As in just go make this thing appear.
Yeah, and the item itself is the scriptable object. And another reason why I use them is because you can share that same data between lots of different systems very easily.
So very early I worked out, I wanted items that, upgrade your weapons. So not really weapons, create more projectiles, so you can add different kinds of projectiles to fire out of your guns. So, things like razor blades. And I had a list, and there was forks, I had sperms, I had poos, I had heaps of stuff.
Arms?
Maybe. Yeah. I had...
Please put arms in there.
Put arms in there. I got lots of characters that don't have arms. Just so you could relate, Yeah.
So I love the game.
Anything I could think of, eyeballs, and have them do some sort of a effect on what they hit, and that's when I looked into it and I discovered worked out stuff like damage resistances. So a damage resistance is
damage resistance. So that was like you have different damage types. Like for example, like you could look at things like Pokemon. You got fire, electricity, grass, all that sort of stuff. When you have damage resistance on something, you can choose what it's more immune to and what it is more vulnerable to.
Yeah,
and it also adds like feedback to that, or like different events related to whatever type of damage it is.
So we created some scriptable objects which were weapon type. Damage type. So like fire and that, and then got into like stuff like gastro, and so basically, and then on your character, your enemy, you have like a set of feedbacks, and feedbacks are just basically like things that trigger and happen. Like, mate, like as a quick example, it might be like it makes this sprite turn a different color.
A feedback's like a controller that can do lots of things at once. It's from More Mountains. They do a package called Feel.
We're using that. Beautiful.
You can do hundreds of things with it. You can change the color of sprites, or add sounds, or change the size of things, or shake it, or whatever.
It's like a robust event system.
And the idea is to add like feedback or like feel or juice to your game very quickly.
We have an enemy, we put a feedback on it, and then within that feedback it has a damage resistance processor, which like goes, if this type of damage hits this enemy, play this certain feedback. So I can go, I have my ice damage attached to a projectile, it hits the enemy, it says, the processor goes, oh, that's ice damage that's been hit. Look down the list, this is what we do to this character when ice damage hits it, and then, it'll freeze the character and stuff like that.
Like meth damage.
Meth damage?
Yeah, like where you lose all your teeth or something.
Yeah, stuff like that. But that just doesn't, that opens up a massive can of worms for how I want to do things. So I can suddenly then, like I said, I can suddenly make a poo. You can fire out a poo at a thing, and when it hits a character, it'll make the character vomit and shit itself at the same time. And like
the old scat gun.
Because that's in the game, stuff like that. I'm like, I can do anything I want now. So I think about these things, and within that, you have your damage. Your damage itself has its own damage within it, so you can do different types of damage. So you can have your base damage, and then you can do like a damage over time. So if it's poison, it can poison them if it hits it. But as you said before, it's also, you can set the resistance to it. So you can say that this character has 100% resistance to fire. So even if you hit it with a fire projectile, it just doesn't hurt it. It doesn't play that feedback and do the damage. So it's a very cool, robust, easy system when you think about it today.
And we're thinking about evolving it even further, so that the types of damage can be evolved to things like how close you are to the enemy, and also depending on how much damage you do when they die, it can change how they die. It can change, if you kill an enemy with fire or something like that, you might get a certain animation.
Yeah,
different
they
to
burn up.
Die if you just shoot them.
All that stuff's coming, but not in this. Down the track.
Yeah.
At the moment, we're just working towards getting the demo back to the point of where the prototype was. It's building up from scratch.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of helps you. And then within that as well, you have your items. So also you have your health. So talk a little bit about the health.
Yeah, health pickups and
so the health. Yeah, so that all ties into that. So you've just got your items with your pickers, and then he programs how the health works, and it just goes, hey, this does that. And it's it sounds so simple now to say, but I remember when I first started, I was like, what is an item? How do you even make it work and stuff like that? And it just kind of starts working out, doesn't it? I love it.
Well, it's starting to come together, which is great. And then, get a few bugs and stuff, and then you cry yourself to sleep, and you wake up the next day, and you fix the bug, and then another bug comes about, and you cry yourself to sleep, and then you release the game.
So we're adding bombs. Oh, we got bombs in the game. We're adding a whole bunch of new bombs, and we're adding a whole bunch of new, almost projectile lob ones. Once Eli does the fake gravity.
Yeah, that's...
Because we're doing a top-down game that's completely 2D, you don't have the luxury of gravity and wall for stuff to hit on. So anything in that game that looks like it's got any gravity or any lops to it or anything hitting a wall or a ground, I think it's all completely done.
Simulated.
Simulated
gravity.
Kind of how we did the items. It's what didn't really tell you, did it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Just base
items. Just items in the game that let you do stuff. That's all you need to know.
All right. Let's go.